So recently I spoke to a client who's in their mid-40s and they've got £100,000 saved in their pension. They thought they were in a really good position and just said, Ben, look, I think I'm doing the right things. I think I'm in a good place. I just want a bit of a sense check. So what we did is we went through and ran a cash flow model for him to produce a financial plan. And the results were very different to what they were expecting. In fact, the plan showed he only had a 50% chance of success of achieving what he wanted in retirement. So what I'm going to do in this video is talk you through the exact steps that we took to show him the potential other options available to improve the chances of success and build a more robust financial plan for them. But if you're new here, my name's Ben, I'm a financial planner, and my aim is to help as many people as possible gain more clarity and confidence around a financial plan. So let's start by outlining this individual's position. So they're age 45, they've got £100,000 saved in their pension already. They're contributing £350 a month into their pension, which is being matched by their employer, and they're taking a balanced level of risk with their pension. So roughly 50% higher risk and 50% lower risk. Now, they're wanting to retire around the age of 65, and they're planning on spending £3,000 a month in retirement. Now, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll know that as financial planners, we often see that people spend less in the later years of retirement. So what we did is we assumed a reduction in their spending from £3,000 a month to £2,250 a month from age 75. And again, with all financial plans, we have tested this to be successful to the age of 95. And what we're looking for really as financial planners is a financial plan to have at least a 90% success rate to give us confidence that this can be successful over the longer term. So how did this individual's plan look based on their current scenario? So you can see here that based on historical market data, this plan had a 53% chance of success. So what we're saying is it's basically a flip of a coin whether this person is going to have sufficient income in retirement to meet their expenses for the remainder of their life. Now, clearly this is not a very good position to be in. And this is exactly why sense checking matters, because on paper, it can look like you're in a really strong position. But when you actually start running the numbers and looking a bit more longer term, that can paint a very different picture. So what we did next is we said, okay, well, this is not something that we are comfortable with as financial planners. And this is not something we would recommend you continue with as a strategy. So what things can we put in place, or what options can we give you to make that percentage chance of success higher? So the first thing we said was, okay, how about instead of retiring at 65, we push that back to 67. Now, what this does is two things. First, it gives us 2 more years of contributions and compound growth. And secondly, it means that because you are retiring 2 years later, your money has effectively got to last 2 years less. And you can see here the huge improvement that this alone has. So we've now gone from a position of a 53% chance of success to an 83% chance of success. Now, clearly, this is still not quite at that 90% we would like, but it's a lot better position and shows you the impact of retiring just 2 years later can have on your financial plan. Now, look, I get it. Not everyone wants to be working forever, and not everyone wants to be pushing their retirement back even further. So what we did instead, we said, okay, well, what other levers can we pull here to try and improve the position? And the next thing we discussed was their investment risk. Now, I said at the start they were taking a balanced level of risk with their pension. So roughly 50% of that is higher risk and 50% is lower risk. So instead, what we did is we looked at a position where they were taking a higher level of risk with 70% of their pension and a lower level of risk with 30% of their pension. And again, you can see the huge impact this has on their financial plan. So this jumps to 96%. And again, this is still them retiring at 65 rather than 67, but it just means that we are taking a slightly higher level of risk with their pension. Now, clearly this does mean that when there are market corrections and market volatility, the value of their pension is going to fluctuate a lot more. But if this individual can become comfortable with that and see the longer term picture and zoom out, this really can give you a lot more freedom and flexibility when it comes to your financial plan. And clearly, I'm not saying to just take a massive level of investment risk with your pension to try and make your financial plan successful. But with this individual, they were still 20 years away from retirement. And over that sort of time frame, you would expect that taking a higher level of risk is likely to mean you are in a much better position when it comes to retirement. Now, before we get into the final scenario, If you are enjoying this video and getting some value from it, please do consider subscribing to the channel because it really would mean a lot to me. Now, the final scenario we looked at was one where they were increasing their pension contributions from £350 a month to £550 a month. So a £200 increase. Now, it's important to note here that this individual found out that if they increase their pension contributions, their employer would match that. So by them increasing their contribution by £200, it actually meant that £400 a month extra was going into their pension because it was being matched by their employer. And again, you can see the huge impact that this has. So in this situation, this individual has a 97% chance of success based on historical market returns. And again, this is the only variable in this scenario. So they're still retiring at 65, they're still taking a balanced level of risk with their pension, and the only thing that's changed is the pension contribution being increased. Okay, so what's the takeaway here? I think it's important to say that these decisions are not binary. You don't have to do one of those three. You don't have to retire later or take a high level of risk or contribute more. You can do a combination of more than one of these. So what I think you need to do is really think about how flexible you can be with A, your retirement age, B, can you stomach and accept a higher level of risk, and C, can you contribute more to your pension each month than you are already? Now, if you've got to this point in the video and you thought, this is exactly my position, what I would suggest is I do offer a free clarity call of 15 minutes. And the purpose of this really is for me to get to know you a bit better and see if it's something I think I can help with. So what I'm going to do is leave a link to my calendar in the description below. So please do feel free to book a call if you think it could be useful for you. Otherwise, thanks for watching the video and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.